We spent the last hour talking about anti-Semitism, mostly in Canada and the US, but it is a worldwide phenomenon. And as we said, it's being normalized by the likes of Ye and Kyrie Irving and even Marjorie Taylor Greene. So we've been talking about how to combat it with education and social media. So panel, like, do we need some kind of global celebrity at the level of Ye? Dara, I'm looking at you.
You know, people ask me this, they're like, how do you solve this problem? I'm like, I don't really know that I'm going to be able to solve this 2,500-year-old problem for you in the next, 3 minutes of this show. But I think that you can't understand how to fight anti-Semitism without understanding who Jews are. And I think we have a basic problem, which is that most people in in North America, the only thing they know about Jews, maybe, is that they died in the Holocaust. That's like the only thing. If you think about it like a high school history textbook, that's pretty much the only thing it says about Jews in a world history textbook in high school. Jews have been erased from world history except that they died in the Holocaust. And I think that there's, the problem is that this is like where we meet people in this conversation, is in this defensive posture of like, something horrible happens or some celebrity says something horrible. And then it's like, oh, let's fight this. The problem is like, why can't we have a conversation about like the actual content of Jewish civilization? Why are we not teaching that in schools? I mean, yes, Jews are a small group of people, but Jews are not bit players in the history of the West. Like, you really can't understand Christianity, Islam, the whole history of the West, like, really doesn't make sense if you don't know anything about the content of Judaism. And also within Jewish teachings is the antidote to tyranny. When you think about Judaism is about monotheism, the rejection of idolatry. What did it mean to reject idolatry in the ancient world? It meant, today we think idolatry is praying to a statue. No, in the ancient world, people had a lot of gods. One of the gods was the dictator. So Jews were, by rejecting idolatry, were rejecting tyranny. I mean, these are important things to know. And they're foundational and that really are part of all of Western civilization at this point. And this is, I think, where we need to change the conversation to be about, like, who Jews are.
I'm wondering, so we've been talking as well about some big social media campaigns. So is the answer, do we have to find a celebrity as big as Ye?
I don't know that a single individual has the capacity to solve this problem, but I do know that it's the individual community members, the friendships, and the people around them that ultimately are the greatest source of solidarity that we have, because it's these people that come to form the understanding that Dara just mentioned. And what we need is solidarity from other communities, is other people to stand up and really make sure that their voices are heard.
Martin, a strategy.
Well, I think everybody here really echoed all the various strategies, whether it's social media or whether it's bonding with other communities in a concerted effort, or whether it's education. I think they're all valid. I think they're all very important. But I think I'm unfortunately somewhat pessimistic about where this is heading. As long as anti-Semites feel comfortable enough to go out public and hold protests and banners condemning Jews and saying the most vile things about Jews, the next step is going to be intimidation. And what's really, really important is Jews cannot allow themselves to be intimidated. And so I think Jews have to have a serious self-talk about how do we strengthen communities not to be intimidated, to push back, not to cower when people are shouting things at you this way, to come back with something. And it's very, very important, because the thing that feeds on that makes anti-Semitism stronger, the thing that makes anti-Semitism much stronger, is Jewish weakness.
I've got to say, there are moments when I think that, we're back in the mid to late 1930s.
Yes, let's look at the 1930s, and let's look a bit at the time now. 1930s, the left was very powerful in Germany. Germany culturally was at the vanguard of openness and liberalism. And there was this crazy guy, Hitler, that people made a lot of fun of, that said, oh, he's got some stupid ideas. And we know the United States is flirting with totalitarianism. very strongly. We see it in the elections. Europe is flirting with totalitarianism in various countries, whether it's Italy or other countries. It's growing in France as well. So it's not such a simple little thing saying, well, it can't happen. It might not happen exactly the same way, but the flirt with this type of totalitarianism there, the scapegoat's the same as the Jews. The big difference, I think, is that Jews just can't let themselves be pushed around when it gets a little rough. And it's very, very important to show that.
Okay, we'll be back with final thoughts after the break.